Undrine Nicole McDonald was a 29-year-old businesswoman and philanthropist from Port Antonio, Jamaica, who resided in San Antonio, Texas. In February 2019, she was murdered in her home by her husband, Andre McDonald, a U.S. Air Force major. Undrine owned a successful assisted living facility and was well known for her involvement in the community. Despite her professional success, her marriage to Andre McDonald was reportedly troubled. With increasing tension in the months leading up to her disappearance, at the time of her murder, she was a businesswoman who ran an assisted living facility called Starlight Homes together with her husband, Andre McDonald, a major in the U.S. Air Force. By many accounts, the marriage was troubled, and the relationship between Undrine and Andre was strained in the months leading up to her disappearance. Undrine McDonald was reported missing on March 1, 2019. By friends and family who became concerned after she failed to show up for work and other obligations, police conducted a welfare check at her home, where they discovered disturbing signs of foul play. Among the findings were cleaning supplies, bloodstains, and burned items in the backyard. Investigators quickly turned their attention to her husband, Andre McDonald, as the primary suspect. Andre was arrested shortly after Undrine's disappearance for tampering with evidence. While he admitted to purchasing the cleaning supplies, he initially denied involvement in his wife's disappearance regarding allegations and was released on bond shortly after. Authorities believed there was strong circumstantial evidence suggesting otherwise, including his suspicious behavior, and the materials he bought seemed to indicate an attempt to cover up a crime. For several months, investigators, family members, and volunteers searched for Undrine's body. Authorities were eventually able to gather more evidence against Andre McDonald through surveillance footage, records, and witness testimony. Investigators believe that Andre McDonald killed his wife during an argument, disposed of her body, and tried to erase evidence of the crime. On July 11, 2019, Undrine's remains were discovered at a private ranch in northern Bexar County, Texas. The remains were identified as Undrine McDonald through dental records. This discovery led to Andre McDonald being charged with first-degree murder. Andre McDonald went to trial in 2023 for the murder of his wife. The prosecution presented a case that focused on Andre's history of domestic violence, the circumstantial evidence gathered from the crime scene, and his attempts to cover up the murder. The defense argued that there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Andre was responsible for his wife's death. Despite the defense's claims, the jury found Andre McDonald guilty of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The sentence prompted a great deal of public criticism, with many feeling that justice was not adequately served for Undrine McDonald and her family.
True Crime Story.
The murder of Leanne Tiernan was an English child murder, involving a 16-year-old schoolgirl who was abducted less than 1 mile from her home on the 26th of November 2000, while returning from a Christmas shopping trip in Leeds, West Yorkshire, and subsequently murdered. The missing person inquiry for Tiernan that followed was one of the largest in the history of West Yorkshire Police, involving the search of around 1,750 buildings. Underwater searches of 32 drainage wells, the draining of a 2-mile section of a canal, and the halting of household waste collections. Tiernan's body was discovered on the 20th of August 2001, in dense woodland just 50 yards, 46 meters from a busy car park at Linley Woods near Otley, on the border of North and West Yorkshire. Following the discovery of her body, DNA samples were taken from 200 people, including family, friends, and known sex offenders living in the area. Forensic evidence led police to her killer, John Taylor, who lived only 1,300 yards, 1,200 meters, from Tiernan's home. On the 8th of July 2002, Taylor pleaded guilty at Leeds Crown Court to her kidnap and murder and received 2 life sentences, with the trial judge telling him that he should expect to spend the rest of his life in prison. At the end of his trial, the police officers who brought him to justice spoke of their belief that he may have been responsible for other unsolved murders, including the 1992 murder of Yvonne Fitt, a Bradford sex worker. On the 3rd of April 2003, following a police review of unsolved sexual attacks in the area, Taylor pleaded guilty to 2 separate rapes committed before the schoolgirl's murder and received a further sentence of life, imprisonment with a recommended minimum of 30 years. As a result of the Tiernan murder inquiry, police reopened at least 10 further cold case murder investigations against him. In June 2013, Rania Alaid, a loving mother and sociable woman, was murdered by her husband, Ahmad Al-Khatib, in a flat in Salford, UK. Originally from Syria, Rania had fled to the UK, seeking a better life. However, she became the victim of an honor killing, suffering horrendous abuse before her tragic death. Al-Khatib was found guilty of her murder and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 20 years. However, Rania's body was never recovered, despite numerous search efforts over the years. Rania left behind 3 young children, 2 boys and a girl, aged just 9, 5, and 3 at the time of her death. They were robbed of the chance to grow up with their loving mother, and instead found themselves in care, while their father remained in prison. Years later, Al-Khatib's son, who visits him every 3 months in prison, was told a chilling secret. His father promised that when he was old enough to understand, he would reveal the location of his mother's hidden body. True to his word, Al-Khatib pinpointed a burial site on a map, telling his son that Rania's body was buried in Thirsk, North Yorkshire. This revelation prompted a major police search, but for 12 years, no remains were found. On February 26, 2025, after over a decade of uncertainty, police finally made a breakthrough. Body parts believed to belong to Rania were discovered in woodland, 90 miles from her Greater Manchester home. This heartbreaking discovery has finally given closure to Rania's friends and family, marking the end of a 12-year wait for justice and peace.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.
True crime stories.
This is a story of one man named Jacobson who conned millions of America in 1997. Was scammed all by simply buying a burger and peeling off a tiny game piece. But what if I told you the game was rigged? In 1987, McDonald's launched its Monopoly promotion, a marketing genius move that promised customers a chance to win big prizes by collecting game pieces attached to their food purchases. The promotion was an instant success. Behind the scenes, one man had the power to decide who would win. His name was Jerome Jacobson, head of security at Simon Marketing, the company McDonald's trusted to run the game. Jacobson was in charge of transporting the rare winning pieces, but in 1989, he discovered a loophole, a way to smuggle out the biggest prizes and hand them to people he chose. He figured out how to steal the game pieces before they ever made it to McDonald's. And once he had them, he needed a network to cash them in. Over the years, Jacobson built an underground empire. He recruited distant relatives, friends of friends, even members of the mafia, in exchange for a cut of the prize money. These winners would claim the Monopoly pieces as their own. By the late 1990s, McDonald's had unknowingly given away over 24 million to fraudsters. But when a tip reached the FBI, everything changed. FBI set up fake calls, fake meetings. We played along. We wanted to catch them in the act. In 2001, the FBI took down the entire operation. Jerome Jacobson was sentenced to 37 months in prison for conspiracy and fraud. The company quickly distanced itself, launching a new fair monopoly promotion. Today, the McDonald's Monopoly game lives on, but the story of the man who rigged it will never be forgotten. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.